you guys want to join the union, if that's what you're about, if you support what they're doing, fantastic. Just so you know, you have a First Amendment right not to do that the district and the union are not going to tell you about. So for each one, we'll go through very quickly and we'll look at the initial action, again, for each type of union status. Potential subsequent action, are you going to have to do anything else to get out of the union? And then potential legal action, because again, I'm very litigious, so I want to sue everybody all the time, right? So people call me, and the first thing I'm thinking is like, oh, we got to get a lawsuit here, and let's get this together. And sometimes my colleagues or my boss say, okay, let's write a demand letter. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll write a demand letter, okay. But of course, it's always a possibility that you might have to take legal action on behalf of someone who's dealing with this stuff. And as I mentioned, I will include also a chart, so you guys can have this all together. So the first type, again, this is probably the best case scenario for new employees, because again, as I think Max and Michael may have mentioned, a lot of folks come into these new employee orientations and they're given a stack of paperwork. Okay, here's your healthcare deductions, here's your 401k, different things like that. And sometimes they'll stick a union card in there and not even tell you what it is. Or in certain jurisdictions like California, the unions have a captive audience right, where the person who's doing the orientation for the district actually has to step out of the room, and the union comes in and has a captive audience pitch for 30 minutes and says, and it's like, you got to sign this. If you don't sign this, they're going to take away your health care. They're going to lower your pay. You're going to be a social pariah. We're going to see you in the coffee room and be very upset with you. Of course, all these things, as Max went over, are mostly nonsense. But you have to understand, this is the point of first contact for most folks when it comes to the union issues. And so the initial action, of course, for folks is don't sign. And to the degree that any of you are involved with the hiring process, or again, there's a line to be thought of in terms of, whether you're at work or on your own time, but to the degree that you have any kind of access to these new employees, you're part of the hiring process, maybe you're part of orientations. The best case scenario for someone who wants to stay out of this union mess is to avoid signing these cards in the first instance. That's the best. And again, as I mentioned, you can help, whether you are part of the hiring process, part of the orienting process. There are barriers put up in states like California to access the dates, times, and places of new employee orientations. We have a couple of lawsuits pending on that right now, that particular issue. But depending upon where you're from, you very well might be able to access this information through a Public Records Act request. Every state is going to have a Public Records Act that you can avail yourself of and send that in to the district and get this information. And whether that winds up being, I would like nothing more than to be able to be on an orientation location the day of, and all we want to do is set up like a card table, you know what I mean, and hand stuff out to people, talk to them as they go in and say, hey, if you guys want to join the union, if that's what you're about, if you support what they're doing, fantastic. Just so you know, you have a First Amendment right not to do that the district and the union are not going to tell you about. Of course, we're blocked, but again, this is an option, a tool for you to take back with you to think about how you can have an impact directly.